Welcome to Stroke by Stroke. Today I am going to talk about my stroke. I am currently dealing with depression, and today is actually a pretty bad day for depression. A friend of mine wanted to get together through Facebook Messenger, and I just didn't have the spoons to do it. Using spoon theory, I'm talking about how much I'm able to do. And I have an incredible impulse to isolate today. And so I'm making myself do things that I just don't want to do. And I want to talk about my stroke, but I also don't want to talk about my stroke because it changed everything. But even before that happened, in 2022, and this is the paper I'm going to be using today, by the way. This was also a gift from a friend, like the little watercolor blocks I've been using. So, and you'll see here that I have taped the piece of paper to my artboard, and that is because it will buckle terribly if I don't. So anyway, in March of 2022, I got COVID, and I had every symptom of COVID except the respiratory. And I didn't even realize I had COVID. I just knew I felt terrible. And when I was working for an agency as a therapist, and the agency required, if I was running a fever and not feeling well, that I had to have a COVID test. And so I took the COVID test and it came out positive. Explained a whole lot. But it turned into long COVID. And it is now 2026. And I am still dealing with long COVID. And sometimes it's hard for me to tell now if I am dealing with long COVID, like the brain fog and stuff like that, or is it the stroke? Either way, I'm having a lot of trouble. And so I'm doing art because I believe in healing through art. And while the part of my brain that basically died when I had my stroke, because that part will never come back, when I had my stroke, the biggest symptom was I was not able to understand what people were saying to me, and I was also not able to speak properly. I was very confused. My emotions were kind of all over the place, and that has stayed. But yeah, so I'm using my White Knight's granulating watercolors again today. So I just wanted you to know what I'm using here. Anyway, I had the stroke. I was on the phone to get an estimate for how much it was going to cost for the tires that I needed to get, because we were going to be moving back from New Mexico back to Indiana, because I was unable to work and I was afraid we were going to lose the house. My life had basically really imploded. and that started with COVID. But the stroke really rather sealed that deal for me. And so I was on the phone, and I was supposed to have gone to an appointment with my podiatrist because I had had my ankle replaced in November of 2023, and this was on March 19th, 2024, and I didn't feel very well that day, so I had rescheduled my podiatry appointment, which would have been in Santa Fe. I was 25 miles north of Santa Fe, and I just didn't feel like taking the medical transport, because that's what I was using to get back and forth. Anyway, so I was on the phone, and I needed to find out how much it was going to be to move, to get the tires so I could move. Sorry about the aphasia. I'm really not in a good space today, and so the aphasia is definitely having an effect today. So please forgive. So anyway, I called and they put me on hold, and when they came back to give me the numbers, the lady told me how much it was going to be, and I could not understand what she was saying. And she said it several times, and I was still married to my husband at the time, and he said it, and I couldn't understand what any of anybody was saying, and I had a really bad headache. So I thought that my speech issues were just from my long COVID, that I was confused. So I took 2 Advil and went to sleep. Woke up later in the day, in the evening, and still had trouble understanding and speaking. So I took more Advil and went to bed. And when I woke up in the morning, still had a headache, still had trouble. So my husband took me to the ER, where at this point it was very difficult for me to talk, to talk. And so my husband told them that I might have had a stroke, and they immediately took me in and gave me some kind of medication to help the headache, and it did help the headache, but it made me so agitated, and all I wanted was just to get out of there. Neurologist came in. It's a little hazy, honestly, because I can't quite remember everything that was going on, but I know a neurologist came in. They did a CAT scan. It didn't show anything, and I thought, okay, I get to go home. But they actually ended up admitting me, and I didn't want to be admitted. I just wanted to go home, but I went ahead and went into the hospital. They took an MRI, I think it was the next day, and so I had the stroke on the 19th, was admitted on the 20th. I think I had the MRI on the 21st. And the MRI showed that I had a, quote, moderate to large acute infarct in my temporoparietal lobe, the left side. And I'll put a picture up of my stroke from the MRI so you can see what it looks like in the MRI. Well, it ended up I was in the hospital for 6 days, almost a week. I was transferred from where I was living north of Santa Fe to Albuquerque, where they did a process, a thing called a TEE, which was an internal ultrasound to look and see you. There's a pocket in your heart that can cause clots. Anyway, so they did the test. My heart is perfectly fine. I have no heart problems whatsoever. And, I was admitted. They didn't know why I had the stroke. I was 54 when I had the stroke, which is, for stroke, that's actually pretty early. Or early, young. Anyway, so I, in the process, I had to move because, I was already set to move because I was afraid that I was going to lose the house and then become homeless. And I have friends and family that I didn't have in New Mexico that I do have here in Indiana. So, not family, really. That's a whole different story, basically. My entire family that I grew up with they all have died. But anyway, so we moved, and then my DV incident happened. We moved in June. The DV incident happened in July. I became homeless until August, and then my disability was approved in May of 2025. And so, yeah, there you go. Anyway, I didn't have access to healthcare for a while. But when I did, I was told, we did a bunch of tests, and I have a condition called antiphospholipid antibody syndrome. And the fact that I can say that, even though I'm having a bad aphasia day, is kind of funny and ironic, if you ask me. But anyway, APS for short. It is a blood clotting disorder, and my blood likes to make clots big time. And they discovered at the same time that I have 2 genetic mutations that also make me, it's called thrombophilic, and they make me make blood clots. And so my joke that I always tell everybody is I like my blood like I like my peanut butter, extra chunky. So I am now on a drug called warfarin, which is Coumadin. It's a generic version. It's a blood thinner, and it has lots and lots of food restrictions, because anything with vitamin K, if it has high amounts of vitamin K, then it's not good for me. And if I don't control the warfarin, I am at high risk of having another stroke, which I really don't want that to happen. So when they told me that, I started listening. And I do watch what I eat, and I have to have my blood tested every 6 weeks. I'm hoping to be able to do it from home soon. And if that's the case, then I'll have to test my blood. It's very similar to testing your blood if you are diabetic or something like that. So it's a finger stick, but I'll have to do that every week if I once I get set up to be able to do it from home, because I am what is called high functioning homebound at this point in my life between all my issues. So I came up with the idea to create a book to explore how art is helping me with my stroke symptoms. And the logo and main picture in Stroke by Stroke is actually a photo, not a photo, excuse me, a painting that I made that was me trying to deal with being a stroke survivor and living with a constant potential threat of another stroke. And we can see, by the way, on this painting that I did not, this is the first time I've ever tried taping a piece of paper before I start doing the art, the painting. And I don't think I did it right, so sorry about that. But really, once again, this is about the process of painting. And since I'm talking about what is, for me, some very big deal things, this is helping me stay calm doing the painting. So I deal with all of these issues. I came up with the idea of using art therapy basically to try and help myself, because other things from my stroke, I've had a change in my moods. That I've always dealt with suicidal ideation, but it got a little bit ridiculous after I got COVID, and lots of mental health issues started showing up for me when I had COVID. So I kind of went a little bit, bonkers. And so the stroke has also affected my moods, and I get angry now. I used to never get angry. Could be the DV as well. I mean, having a gun put to your head will tend to do that. But so I paint. I do art. I don't just paint. I do all kinds of art. I do beading. I do paintings. I do drawing. I used to do clay. I don't have the space to do the clay anymore. But, I use art to regulate my emotions, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. And when I'm doing it for this reason, and I feel the way I feel today because I just want to get in bed and crawl into bed and just ignore everything and everyone. And I know that if I do that, it's going to become much bigger than I can deal with. And I just don't want to do that. So I do art. So that is exactly what I'm doing today. And I am sharing this process so that I can help normalize mental health issues and trying to help myself through these. And there's so much stigma in mental health issues, depression. If you get to the point where it's really difficult to function, it's very common for people to say, well, just have happy thoughts and it'll get better. Well, if it was that easy, nobody would be depressed. It's not that easy. I did study trauma. I think I've talked about that in a different video. But I understand what happens in the brain when someone is dealing with trauma. And it does change how your brain functions. So just trying to get over it, which, I mean, yeah. It is possible to find your way through depression, but it doesn't mean you're weak. It takes, for me, it takes a lot of resources, a lot of friends when I am able to reach out. Doing this video is a way of me dealing with how I'm feeling in a healthy way as opposed to drinking. Because in the past, I would have just gone and gotten a bottle and basically drank until I passed out. And it would have made everything stop. It would have been better until it wasn't better. So, yeah, that's... I'm painting instead of drinking. I'm painting instead of giving up in the face of long COVID and a stroke. Big things, you know. A DV situation that ended a 13-year relationship and a 12-year marriage. Being homeless. There are so many times I could have just given up. And could I do art when I was homeless? Hell no. Not at all. But as soon as I was able, I started doing art again. And as you can see, am I doing art to make a pretty picture today? Absolutely not. But I am doing something that actually soothes me. And the thing that is soothing me is watching as the paint drips down. Anyway, I started talking about the picture I made. That is in our it's only me. In my logo for Stroke by Stroke, and I'll put it up and I'll put it side by side with the picture, the MRI picture of my stroke, and you'll see how it mirrors. And I'm also going to put up a picture I did toward the end of March in 2022 when I was trying to deal with having had COVID. Because I had a very bright future. I was doing exactly what I wanted to do, what I felt I was on this earth to do. And when I got COVID, I tried going back to work. I tried doing all the things, but it attacked my joints, took my arthritis, and I've had doctors tell me, you know, I've told doctors and they have agreed that it's like I aged 20 years when I got COVID. The whole process, and I'm still dealing with it, not nearly as badly as I used to. I still don't have a sense of smell. It's like a bad radio channel. For those of you who are old like me, who might remember radios. My sense of smell is like a radio channel that is full of static, and I keep tuning the channel, and sometimes it'll come in and I can have the sense of smell, but generally it's either an impaired sense of smell or just completely gone. And oddly, I still have my sense of taste, which doesn't make sense to me, but I stopped trying to make my life make sense a while ago, which, oops, this is fading. There we go. It's trying to fall down. Anyway, yeah. So, lots of things have happened. The one constant for me has been art. And when I look at the picture, the first picture I did was covud. Well, not the first picture, but in the series that I'm showing you. That was how covud felt to me. And then the MRI of my stroke, and then the image of how my stroke felt, and then of an image of me trying to make sense of the stroke. And that's as far as I got in the process that was going to be the book of Stroke by Stroke. Because I struggle so much with being able to write, because it takes me a very long time to write things anymore, to read things, sometimes to say things, sometimes to understand things. So, and I have what is called fluent aphasia, which means that generally I sound pretty good, but I still have aphasia. My memory is such now that things that used to be easy for me to remember, I can't remember anymore. For example, math. I can't do math anymore unless I'm using a calculator, or very simple things using my fingers, just like I'm a kid again. So the memory issues, oftentimes I can't remember things I've said to people or things I've done, or I can't remember a word, and so I will search for another word. And sometimes the word just never comes to me. And sometimes my emotions are so bad that it has led to me wanting to not be here anymore. But I'm too stubborn to let that win. So I do art. I see my therapist. I reach out for help. I have a Medicare advocate who is fantastic, who helps me do things that I can't do anymore, like applications. You know, he isn't a therapist, but he is a wonderful resource, someone that I can talk to when I'm having a bad time. And yeah, I take full advantage, not in a good way, or a bad way, I mean, but I take full advantage of the resources available. And I would encourage you to do the same. Whatever struggles you're dealing with, it's okay to ask for help. And I know the world is very scary, and help is becoming more difficult to access. But don't stop. Don't let that stop you. You have so much at your fingertips. A friend can help, you know, reaching out to a friend. So it's kind of funny that I wouldn't reach out to a friend earlier today. But I just didn't feel like I could. And I still don't really want to reach out, but I know I need to. So I'm making a video to reach out to you, my listeners. So don't give up. Use 988. It's a resource. If you are feeling really, really bad, like you might want to hurt yourself, call. It's okay. It is okay. So I'm going to end the video now. I'm going to let this painting dry. I probably won't do a photo of this for the video. I may start the next video with a photo of this, but just know that putting paper on a table and putting pigment on that paper can also be a lifeline. So I always try to do what makes me happy, and I want you to do what makes you happy. And sometimes happy is out of reach. Like today. Happy is out of my reach. But at least I'm doing something. And sometimes the only thing I can do is breathe in and breathe out. And that's okay too. Just, it's feeling like this for now. Not forever, but for now. It will shift at some point. If you keep breathing in and breathing out, eventually it will shift. So that's what I have to share for today, and thank you for joining me. This has been Stroke by Stroke. Have as beautiful a day as you possibly can.